Guys, it is February. How did this happen? What? Where are we? What day is it? What month is it? What year it is? What year it is? I do not know. Because it's suddenly February, and here we are. I've had a crazy January. I've been incredibly busy, which is why I haven't posted, I think, since like the second week of the year. Which I feel like shouldn't feel like that long ago, except for the fact that for some reason January literally felt like it was probably like 4 months long. Like each week was like, the time felt like it was a month, and that is kind of wild. Yeah, my January, minus the things that are happening in the country, in the world, in, you know, society, I had a very crazy month. My second week, I went on a trip to Arizona to visit my friends from school, and it was so much fun, and I already missed them so much, but like, that was crazy. And then like, I got back, and then so I still hadn't been able to find like a permanent job. I had been working like kind of odd jobs since I graduated in May, and I had to start paying my school loans in January, and I was like, I still don't have a job. This is fantastic. Sarcasm. But I was like, what am I doing? What's going on? And luckily, literally the weekend that I got home from Arizona, I got an email from one of the places that I applied to, and they're like, yeah, you start literally like now. And I was like, oh, sick. So I started this new job very suddenly, and it does take up a lot of time in my day, and I do not mind because right now I like desperately need the money. I would love to just make YouTube videos and just read all the time and just like work on fun projects, but unfortunately right now they're not paying. Neither are my scripts. So because of that, I had to change gears to be able to, you know, pay those school loans. Last month also, my dog Callie died. She was a senior Dalmatian that we've had for a couple years. And my mom always adopts senior dogs, so it's kind of something we go through. I'm gonna hit the water that I very precariously placed. Family adopts senior dogs, so it's like kind of something you're used to, but it's always hard. It always sucks. We've known that she was gonna pass away since October. That's when we found out about her specific medical condition. And the doctor really told us that she had 6 weeks to live. So the fact that she made it until almost 6 months is a little wild. She would have turned 13. She would have turned 13 in a couple days, but yeah, that was hard. She kind of went from being like decently okay to being not okay in a very short time span, which was a lot. And then oh yeah, I turned 22 this weekend, which is crazy. I'm now 22, and I like the number 22. The 2 times 11, like it's a good number. I like 21 too, because if you add them together they make a 3. I have a weird thing with numbers. Anyway, so 22, that's exciting. I had fun, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big crier around my birthday, and I didn't cry, and then all of a sudden the day of my birthday, I just wanted to cry every 4 seconds. I'm like, great, fantastic. Also, I know this is a really long status update. This is what happens when I don't film videos weekly, and I have a lot of stuff to update you guys on. Also, my last update before I introduce the video is, so I'm on a medication called Accutane, which is for my skin and for acne mainly, but it has a lot of side effects, and I'm feeling a lot of them. I wasn't so much when I started, but now I feel like as the medication kind of is building up in my system, I'm definitely experiencing a lot more of the side effects. Mainly, it's known for giving you mood changes, and for me, like, that's been one of my major side effects. It gives you dry skin, which I didn't really have a problem with until like last month. It can also make you nauseous and have a hard time eating, and like, guys, luckily like me and my doctor mainly have it under control, and I'm luckily almost done. I think I just passed halfway. So in my brain that means almost done. Herman, are you okay, my dude? You look so stressed. I'm just gonna try to power through it, but because of that, I'm really sorry. That water, oh my god. I'm gonna knock over that water. But if you do see me in my videos, I'm gonna, again, also because I'm working, if I'm more low energy than usual and I look kind of slightly deranged, it's because I love you guys and I'm trying to make videos even if I'm not at my 100%. So yeah, I also, from what I understand, not a lot of people's Januaries have been treating them very well, so I hope your January treated you better than mine, because holy shit. Yeah, but anyway, hello everyone, and welcome to whatever this video is going to become. My name is Zarina, and today we are going to be going through all the books that I read in January. And there's a lot of them. I think there's 13. I'll put it up on the screen if that's not correct, but I believe it's 13. And I think this also kind of goes along with the fact that it felt like January was 4 months long. In January, because of my job, luckily I'm sitting at a desk for a good chunk of it, so I've been able to read, except So usually when I'm in the mood to read, I swear I'm not a mood reader, but for some reason lately I've been breaking my like TBR, and I've been kind of just pulling out like romance books or like middle grade things that would be like very easy to digest. And with my job and being in public, I don't enjoy reading. I can read romance novels in public, but it just does not seem like a good idea to be in your place of employment and be reading romance novels. Yeah, okay. I'm glad. Does that sound like, yep, okay. Also, some of the places I work, there's no service. So like I literally physically cannot use my phone, and I have to bring a book or else I'm gonna be bored all day. So that's been helping me to get through some of my more like taxing books or some of my more boring books. Sorry, nonfiction. You most of the time fall into this category. But because of that, yeah, it also has made me kind of get into like a flow, a rhythm of finishing, sorry, Herman's still on my lap and I'm just like swinging the chair around, of like, what am I saying? Of like getting in the flow of reading other books that are just not my fast ones. And some of them I'm finding out are actually a lot faster to read than I thought. Oh, it also doesn't help that I attempted to do a 24-hour readathon January 1st. I always try because then all my Storygraph data will just have the books that I read on January 1st, so I'll be able to see like the pages I read. But I, like last year, did not make it, so aka there was gonna be a video on that, but it just didn't work out, so there's no video. Oh, story of my life. Okay, so I've been definitely rambling on long enough, and we should get started with the video because I finished some bangers this month, guys. I did a pretty good job. So for the first book that I finished for the month was actually a volume of manga, and that was Snow White with the Red Hair Volume 10. I ended up rating this a 4.5 stars, and that was only because, okay, if you don't know what Snow White with the Red Hair is, so basically Snow White with the Red Hair, oh my god, that title is so long, basically is a story about a girl named Shirayuki who has bright red hair, and she works as an apothecary in the kingdom that she, like, is from, and because of her hair kind of always gets her in trouble because it's really rare in this universe to have, like, bright red hair, and, like, shenanigans, she has to run away, and she makes her way to another kingdom where, like, more shenanigans happen. I don't know how much is spoiling, so I'm just gonna not. That's gonna be it. It's romance, it is very cute, it is fantasy, so I guess technically I hate the word romantasy. Like, I don't hate romantasy as a concept for the most part, I just hate the word romantasy. Like, that is so ugly. It's a romance fantasy. And they're so cute. They're like, when you need to feel any kind of joy and you're not, Snow White with the Red Hair is really good. The only reason I rated this one a 4.5 star rather than a like 5 star is because the arcs in this series are so good, and this one was kind of more of like side stories, and I just didn't quite feel like, not like side stories like taking out of the main plot, like it's more kind of like finding out about some other characters that are not like the main couple, and I don't know why. It just kind of like, I love the side characters, it just didn't really hit as like they usually do. So yeah, that's the only reason. Like, the art is gorgeous and it's hilarious and it's so cute and I just want to feel joy. So yes. So sorry, I'm falling out of this chair. The next book that I read for the month was Hollow City by Ransom, which is the second book in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. And you know what? I forgot what I rated it. Hold on. My notebook was literally across the room and where is it? Where's the page? No. No! Where is it? Okay, there it is. Oh shit, this is not the second book. Just kidding. Okay, but I'll get to that book. I'll get to this real second book later. But this one I ended up rating a 4.5 stars. And so these books are really good. The story is really well written. The like actual physical writing is really good. And I found it really interesting. They're set in 1940s England. And like, so it's basically about peculiar children, like they have these special powers, and to stay safe from like science experiments and stuff, they've created like these time loops where like these kids can go to be safe and like grow up, but they're actually frozen in time, so they don't really grow up. They just like live forever in these like safe havens for peculiar children, and plot happens, and they're very good. They're very interesting and they're very fun. This is just the continuation. I can't say too much because it would spoil the first one. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one overall. I really liked where it's going, and I need the third one. However, I love a subplot of romance. However, there is a weird age gap in this one. Like, it's not really, it wouldn't be a problem. Can I speak? It wouldn't actually be that much of a problem, I think if the author kind of just let us forget that there's an age gap, because like the reason there's an age gap is not because like there's like they meet and it's like an old lady with a guy. It's literally like she looks like she's 16. You know, it's actually the reversal of like most vampire tropes, but like the girl is the old one and the guy is like our age-ish. He's like 18, 19, I think. And I was like, I was able to ignore it in the first one, I think, and then this one it just becomes a much bigger problem, and like they talk about it a lot, and I was like, I'm continuing on because I like the story, but like please don't make me remember this. I really don't want to remember this. And it's really funny because a booktuber that I watch, Jesse the Reader, he's, you know, yeah, and I've been watching him forever, and I know these are his favorite books, and he even, I think in a video like last year was like, yeah, I reread them and I didn't realize how much the age gap was a thing. And honestly, yeah, it's a little weird, but like I can ignore it because the story is good. So I hope the story continues to be good so I can continue to ignore it because I want to know what happens. I just really wish this wasn't a plot point, you know? Yeah, okay, next. So the next book I do not have with me because I borrowed from a little library in my neighborhood and I already gave it back, and it's a middle grade series and it's called Momotaro. This one was by Margaret, Dilloway, and this was my first 2-star of the year. It was 2.5 stars, and you guys, this book, so it's, I believe, oh no, it's Disney Hyperion, I think, and I don't know, I feel like it was one of those books that just felt like it was trying to do the same thing as like Percy Jackson did, but with Japanese mythology. However, this book already kind of gave me a little bit of like a strange vibe because I know a lot of like the Rick Riordan presents books that deal with certain types of mythologies happen to have like authors who also like either grew up in the culture or like have studied a lot. I think mainly grown up in the culture from the few that I can think of off the top of my head. And this one, the name a little bit scared me, and then I saw the author picture and I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to assume like to know this woman's background. However, it did also scare me because in the author's note it said that her research for this book included a trip to Japan and then like samurai movies, and I was like, oh no, okay, but I will go in and I will give it the benefit of a doubt. And you guys, this this book felt like I don't know how to put this nicely. It felt there was so much internalized like racism in it, and there was also just so much internalized misogyny in it. I physically like could not function. Like the amount of times this like 12-year-old boy was like, but I'm a man, so I can't do that. And I'm like, sorry, Herman's barking in the background. I was like, huh? And the story wasn't that interesting. It was pretty boring and probably could have been at least 100 pages shorter. And then like the book, I could see what it was trying to do with like the family and the adventure, but then the main character was also so annoying and like it was terrible. This book was literally terrible. It could not do what it was trying to do. It felt under-researched. It felt like the amount of like internalized racism and misogyny was so like, there are definitely books where like there are characters dealing with that, but then they do something with that, right? Like they do something to make it Hermie. Hello, Herman. They do something with that. Like they don't just have a kid being like getting racist remarks thrown at them and then like leave it at that. They do something with it. And this book was just like, nope, these kids are just racist to be racist, and like, yeah, she turns out to be a monster later, and like that, oh my god, it was so strange, so weird. Do not read this one, please. 2.5 stars, like no, absolutely not worth it. The next book, which is the book that has taken me probably the longest time to read, was A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. I think I started this in October and I finally finished it last month. And holy shit, this book is huge. And okay, what did I rate it? Oh my god, I closed it again. Hold on. Ended up rating a 4.75 stars. And this is the prequel to Priory of the Orange Tree. So high fantasy, a lot of stuff. Basically setting up the story that happened in the Priory of the Orange Tree. I think I enjoyed this, so I gave it a 4.75 stars. I think mainly because, one, I could not remember a single thing that happened in Priory of the Orange Tree. So, like, I'm sure there's, like, cool connections to that book. Can't remember a single thing. There would be moments where I'm like, I feel like I have a vague memory of this being important to the first book, but I can't remember shit. Literally, like, absolutely nothing on my end. Yeah, and then 2, this book I had to like convince myself to read, which is my main problem with Samantha Shannon books, the 2 I've read so far, Prior to the Orange Tree and this one. I don't know what it is, but I just like I'm not actually, I find the chapters and like the story are well written, but after I finish a chapter, I kind of feel like I don't actually really care if I continue to learn about this world. Like, I could just stop at this random chapter in the book and like never pick it up again. Which for Prior to the Orange Tree is almost what I did, because I was like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. And this was a lot more interesting. Luckily, I did find there's 4 different character perspectives we get, I think. Oh no, there's more than 4. There's like kind of 4. There's like 4 directions that each correspond with one of the countries or like the realms of the world, and there's mainly 1 person per perspective that we're following. And I actually luckily found them all interesting. That was another problem I had with Prior to the Orange Tree, was I found one of them so diabolically hateable. Does that make sense? And I hated him so much that I physically could not read his chapters. Like, I would just have to skip them, because if I read his chapters, I would probably have never finished the book. Luckily, this one, I enjoyed all of them, and the stories are cool, and I really think it's great. Maybe I'm starting to be convinced that high fantasy is just not for me, because, like, I don't know, I feel like these are the only high fantasy books I've read, and just there's something about the way she tells them, and like, there's just so much going on. I'm definitely more of like a character-driven book kind of person, where like, you really get to know the characters, and I don't know, there's like something about this perspective that she uses in these where I just like, I don't find myself caring. I don't really want to know who they are. Like, it almost, you know what, it feels like reading a history book. Like, you're telling me like, this person and these people were fighting, and like, these are the things, and I can't do it. Like, I want to be entertained, and I feel like if I watched this like on TV, I would think it was super entertaining, but reading it, I was like, I don't like it. Does that make sense? Cool. Moving on. To give myself a little bit of a break from very, very, very heavy book, I read Wildfire by Hannah Grace. I was terrified going into this book because I hated Icebreaker. And honestly, you know what? I'm gonna say this. If you like Icebreaker, especially if it's like your first sports romance book like that you ever read, I can understand, right? Because you don't know better. However, I had read Icebreaker, I think in the middle of binging the Briar U universe books by Elle Kennedy, and they're so stupidly good. I hate that I like them, but they're like this happens every video. Somehow I always end up talking about Elle Kennedy, and I don't know how. But like, because of that, like, I have very high standards, and Icebreaker was just a mess. Like, I hated the main character. No, not very good. But Wildfire, I proudly say that I gave a 4-star. It was a good book. I did scrub the plot of Icebreaker from my brain, and this is technically the second one, and it happens in the same world. So there's a bit of like people dynamics that I didn't quite remember, but like not so much that you'd actually ever have to read Icebreaker before reading this one. And this one was really good. Basically, contemporary romance where college students, where he is a hockey player and she, what does she do? I already forgot. I forgot what she does. But basically, what happens is they have to, they meet at a party, and like they're really clicking, and they just have a miscommunication. Look, don't worry, the miscommunication gets cleared up pretty fast, but they have a miscommunication. But then they have to go to, they think they're never gonna see each other. They think they're never gonna see each other. Why does that sentence not sound real? They think they're never going to see each other again, but then they both end up accidentally working at the same summer camp, and like the feelings come back, but like at this summer camp, you can't, is it fraternize? What is it? You can't fraternize? Yeah, you can't, basically, you can't have relationships with the other camp counselors. Yeah, and their feelings are very present. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's, what is it called? What is that trope? Holy shit. I'm so stupid. What is it called? Oh, it's kind of like forbidden romance. That's what it was like. Oh shit, I'm losing it already, and I'm only barely, like, less than halfway through these books. Yeah, forbidden romance and like pretty slow burn and like not that annoying, which I appreciated because I found Icebreaker annoying. So this has unfortunately convinced me to read the next book in this like series, which is purple. It's like the purple one with, I think, Daydream is what it's called. Yeah. And however, there was a cheesy moment where she like incorporates the title, and it was terrible. I hated it. And it was like, and he couldn't, and you can never put me out like Wildfire. And I was like, vomiting everywhere. That is terrible. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that to me? Like, that was the cringiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And I lived through 2016. I wore Galaxy leggings, okay? I know, cringy. And why? Please, can we please be normal? I have very strong feelings about, I hate when I hate when books do that. Well, they'll just be like, they try to incorporate the title. Like, sometimes it can be done really well. Example, The Hunger Games. Love The Hunger Games. The Hunger Games makes sense as a title. Wildfire, you don't have to try to incorporate the word wildfire as many times as possible into the book. Like, especially in like really horrendous ways. I don't know, it just was so cringy. I like wanted to yeet myself from my bed to the floor and then like never look at the book again, but it's okay. I was in it for the drama. If you're there for the drama and you're there for the vibes, you'll be fine. Okay, and then next, because A Day of Fallen Night really did a number on my brain. I was not able to like think thoughts because my brain was just trying so hard to remember all these people and all these events, and then also trying to remember the Priory of the Orange Tree, that I needed another romance book palette cleanser. And that one was Good Girl Complex by Elle Kennedy. So I'm not gonna lie, I really don't like Elle Kennedy's other stuff that isn't hockey. I think that's what I'm finding out, because I kind of like this book, but like not that much. It honestly, so Good Girl Complex is basically she's a girl who's from a rich family and goes to like a really hoity-toity college, but doesn't actually want to go to college. She took a gap year, and during that gap year, she like created her own company, which her parents kind of see as like, they think it's just a game. Like, they don't realize like that's what she actually wants to do, and they send her to college to get a degree because she's dating this guy, and they're like, she's been dating him forever. They're childhood friends, basically. Friends? That's not right. They're like childhood relationship. What is that called? Childhood relationship. Oh no. Yesterday I was talking to Cynthia. I almost called her my friend Cynthia. All my friends hate it when I do that because I forget some of them know each other. I'm like, yeah, my friend, and they're like, we know who that is. I'm like, yeah. Basically I was talking to Cynthia, and I was talking about does anyone know that infomercial that used to play on, like, I think it was Disney Channel or Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon? It was like trains and lots of trains, and it was like about this like video DVD set that you could call in and get like a DVD set of all these different trains. And I misspoke and I said, do you remember not trains? That's, yeah, oh my god, that's stupid. Anyway, sorry, I took a bite of my yogurt. So basically, the guy is like, he's local, he works around town, he didn't go to college, his friends and family come kind of from a more low-income background, and at this bar, her boyfriend gets him fired. So him and his friends kind of create like a revenge plan where he's going to steal her away from her boyfriend, and that's gonna be like the revenge. They're gonna humiliate the really mean rich preppy guy. And honestly, it was so cringy at first. I was like, I don't want to be here. Please make me leave. And I could have put the book down, but I was like, but I have a rule where I try to get halfway. And then by then I was like, I was like, okay, we just gotta release, we gotta embrace the cringe. And once I did that, I had a good time. And there's just some really stupid stuff in here, but I feel like it was mainly handled pretty well. Like, it was very fun. It was very interesting. Definitely not like Elle Kennedy's best books, but definitely not as bad as Girl Abroad. And like, Girl Abroad wasn't that terrible, it just wasn't good. And this one's kind of like somewhere in between those realms. Definitely, I wouldn't really suggest these. I don't know. I also don't really enjoy like the bad boy trope myself. So like, kind of having to, I am going to read the next one in the series because I am really curious. Knowing the plot from this, I am really curious how they're going to bring that character. She's going to write about that character who's like, yeah, anyway. So, what did I rate this? Did I already say that? Might have. Yeah, I rated this a 4-point star. 4.0 star? 4 point, what is it? Yes, that's what I rated it. And yeah, you do you if you want to read it. And then the next book that I read for this month was volume 2 of Noragami. If you've never heard of Noragami Stray God, basically it's this story about this girl who she's in an accident and which causes her soul to dislodge from her body, and this god, his name is Yato. He's like a really terrible god. He has like no temples, he gets no money, he has no bitches. It's very funny. And he like basically is like desperately trying to make like a temple, so he will do like favors for anyone, and basically they like accidentally meet each other, and she asks him to help find a way for her soul to stop leaving her body. There's the monster world and then like the human world, and like she's basically trailing him around to try to remind him like, hey, you gotta get my soul back into my body. And basically I started this series because the anime was really cool, and there hasn't been a new season in forever, and I've just decided, well, time to read the manga. So yeah, and this is a really good second installment. The only problem is I'm still at the point of the manga where I watched it in the show, and I've just noticed I have a really hard time with that. Like when it's not new material, I don't feel like because I'm not learning new things, I kind of tend to find them a little bit more boring. This story is not boring at all, especially if you're reading it for the first time. But like, I'm like upset that I'm still not to the point where like the season has ended. Yeah, and I rated it 4.5 stars. There's a lot of like really cool horror elements in here, and like the art style is very, very cool. If you made it this far in the video, this is the end. I'm really sorry. I'm making you guys watch a part 2. Surprise! As I mentioned, I did finish 13 books this month, and I honestly, with all the things happening, I don't have the mental capacity to edit incredibly long videos. And I don't know if you guys actually want to watch incredibly long videos. So because of that, I'd much rather make 2 parts than have anything beyond a 30-minute video. And I fear that this is, I've hit around 20, because I found like my sweet spot is around 6 books in a video to hit that like kind of like 20 mark. So yeah, because of that, if you guys could leave a like, that'd be fantastic. Also, if you could subscribe, we've hit 40 subscribers, which is like crazy, and like we're only 10 away from 50, and that's insane. Yeah, there are 40 people that are subscribed, and that's random because I don't know who you are, and like I really, really appreciate you. So yes, thank you. Also, if you could leave a comment, that'd be fantastic. How was your January? Was it also 4 months long? Because what the heck? Like honestly, are you doing well? Hope you're doing well. Anyway, that's it. Okay, bye. But then they do something with it, right? They like, Herman! The book I think that has taken me, the next book. What am I saying?